Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne's Sharp World, where today we are taking a look at a brand new knife that is a lot more than just a knife. It's actually a multi-tool. Just came to the market, and very impressed with this for a lot of reasons, including the fantastic budget-based price on this guy, some really unique features, and overall, I've just been very impressed with it. And to add even a little more surprise, this is coming from Olight. This is the Olight O-Knife OKS2 multi-tool. Yeah, very, very impressive. Let's take a look at the blade here. But before we take any other looks at this knife and multi-tool, let's take a look at some overall specs on this multi-tool right here. We have a closed length of 3.41 inches, a width coming in at 980 thousandths, so just a hair under an inch wide. We have a blade length of 2.3 inches. We have 11 additional tools to take a look at that we will go over here in just a minute. Now, the blade material on this guy is something I'm not familiar with. This is DIN 1.4116 stainless steel. So I'm going to go out on a whim here and assume that this is a very budgety steel. I will say this is absolutely razor sharp out of the box, and it's held a pretty respectable edge. With that being said, I don't know much about this steel, so I don't expect it to be a super steel, but for the price and the performance so far, I am happy with it. We'll hit the price here in just a second. We have a handle material of aluminum with a weight coming in at 4.62 ounces, which is pretty standard for a multi-tool. I know there's some lighter ones, but again, 4.62 ounces, not really heavy by any means, in my opinion. And a price coming in at $29.99. For everything that this multi-tool offers, especially this blade here that I'm actually really digging, I have no problems with $29.99 for this. I think this is a great deal, and any sales that may come up in the future would make it even better. Let's take a look at some size comparisons here. We'll leave the blade out to give you a little better idea. I have two that I think are going to be pretty darn good. This is the Vosteed Mini Corgi, and we also have the Civivi Mini Praxis. Obviously, you're going to have kind of wider blades here, and it's going to look a little awkward in the size comparison since the blade is so far off the mat. But I think this is really the best I can do in terms of size comparisons for you guys on this one. But I think it's actually a pretty decent one, especially with that Mini Corgi. That Mini Corgi is ridiculously similar, even like the handle. So yeah, some pretty good comparisons there, especially with that Mini Corgi. And let's go on in to take a look at everything else this multi-tool has to offer, because I will say, and I think I've said this before on the channel, multi-tools don't get me too excited. They're not something I carry a lot. I have carried them but in the past, and I do carry them from time to time. I definitely just prefer a good-looking, cool EDC knife. Just me personally, because I find that a lot of the additional tools on a multi-tool aren't always needed within my day-to-day. Now, there are some on this that are on some other multi-tools that I do find useful, and we will go over all those. But first, just a quick little touch-up on this blade here. I really like this blade, and I was really impressed with one thing here in particular. It's kind of hard to show on the camera, but the sharpening choil on this guy. They stayed really thin behind this edge and the blade in general, all the way up to the area here where the sharpening or where the grind ends. They stayed really thin. Really impressed with the sharpening choil work there. I think they did a really good job. I'm sorry, the sharpening choil, the plunge grind. I am all at a loss for words today. There's actually not much of a sharpening choil. The plunge grind is fantastic on this. Really impressive plunge grind for a very budgety knife. And really, like I said before, a really nice edge on this. Very, very slicey. We're coming down to about 19 thousandths behind the edge. Now, granted, it thickens up rather quick, but this almost kind of acts like a Scandi grind. I mean, it's definitely not a Scandi grind. It's definitely just a regular flat grind, or maybe even a saber grind, if you can look at how high the grind goes up. But a really nice edge. Really nice. It's worked great for anything I've had to run this blade through. And it's held up pretty well. I feel like it may have dulled down just a little, but I mean, it's still plenty sharp enough to just rip through paper or slice through paper. So really impressed with this blade, even with it being the DIN 1.4116 stainless steel. If you know anything about that, drop it in the comments. I'm sure other people would like to know. I haven't really had time to do much research. I just wanted to kind of see how it would hold up in the real world. And so far, it's holding up fantastically well. So all in all, really nice blade for the price. Again, always keep it in perspective with the price. And the ergos on this are actually really nice, especially for just the blade itself. This is obviously locked with a liner lock there. And yeah, it feels pretty good in hand. There's no hot spots, of course, because it's just basically a rectangle. This is kind of like holding on to a lighter almost. But it feels good, feels nice and smooth. And no real issues with the ergos. The pocket clip here is actually a pretty darn nice pocket clip. Enough ramp to get over the hem, and as you can see, the clip goes under the outside handle scale here. So it's very smooth in and out of the pocket, so no issue carrying it either. Now let's get into talking about all these other tools, because beyond this blade, there is a whole cornucopia of tool options on this guy. And we'll start off with some of the obvious ones. The glass breaker. Now, I do think this would work pretty well. It looks like just a really a hardened steel ball, which is what you want. The only issue I have with the glass breaker is it's very low to the butt or one of the ends of the tool. So if you went to go strike a window or any type of glass with this, you'd have to come down and hit it very flat. If you came at any angle, you could have an issue with the glass breaker being effective. So I like where they were going with it. I think they made a good attempt at it. But I think it's going to be, you just want to make sure if you do ever come into a point where you have to use it, you have to come totally straight down and make sure that that ball there, the actual glass breaker ball, is the first thing that strikes the glass. Otherwise, you're probably not going to have much luck doing that. After the glass breaker, we get into the tweezers here. And the tweezers are right in here. Now, we're going to pull the rest of this out here in a second, because this is what I think is one of, by far and away, the coolest parts of this multi-tool. Really impressive pair of scissors that we'll take a look at last. But here is the tweezers. They're kind of in the bottom of one of the scissor handles there. Stick that back in there. And then from the tweezers, we go into all of this fun stuff right here that is actually brought out with the push of this lever here. Just like that, it brings out all three different tools. Now, between these three attachments here, these three tools that come out, there's actually more than three tools. On this first one here, now I'm going to pull this out and you're going to hear something. This locked. So this is locked in place. That's another thing I really like about this. A lot of these tools do lock in place, and to close it, you simply push this lever back and it's unlocked. So very cool little mechanism they have there to make accessing the tools a lot easier. Pull it out here, and from on this tool here, we have a file, we have a Phillips head, and we have a form of measurement that I don't think is super useful, but you can measure up to 1 inch or 3 centimeters if that would ever help you out in any situation. I don't know if it really would, but you have that option. And then you have an awl right here, which is also very sharp. And then at the end, you have a flathead driver, you have a can opener, and you have a bottle opener there within those tools. And move that lever back and close all of these. And then we get into the saw, which is actually right back. I'm getting turned around on it. Right here is the saw. It's a pretty decent saw. It also locks, and this locks with a liner lock there. So there's your saw, which, saws on multi-tools are nice in a real big pinch. One thing I really like about this one, though, is you can put your thumb up at the top of the tool here. So when it comes to saws this small, I usually don't go forward, but you can make a lot of pulls back. And with your thumb up here, you can really pull on the whole tool itself and do some really good saw motions. So a pretty effective saw, and extremely sharp, jagged edges here that I'm assuming would be very effective. So we'll close that up, and then we're going to take a look at, outside of the blade, the most impressive tool on this knife for me, and it's these scissors right here. Now watch what is about to come out of this handle. Look at these scissors. I mean, we have these are like kindergarten size scissors. I mean, normally when you say kindergarten size scissors, it's not very impressive. But when you're talking about a little $29 multi-tool, it's very impressive. And we'll see just how sharp they are here. I can give you a little heads up. They are very sharp and they work very well. And you can cut for days. So yeah, very nice, very effective scissors that can come in very, very handy for a lot of things. So really, probably the best pair of scissors I've ever seen on a multi-tool. And especially for $29.99, this is going to have to go down as one of the best multi-tools I've ever handled, especially for the price. Again, it's hard to beat $29 for something like this. I think it's a very, very strong offer. And overall, it's a really good looking multi-tool too. It's pretty clean. It's sleek. It's, well, maybe not sleek, but it's clean. It's clean and it looks pretty modern for a multi-tool. So, I like it. I really, really dig it. I think it's great. And I've been really impressed lately with what Olight's come out with, I have to say. The flashlights are always good, but the knives and anything outside of flashlights has always just been kind of okay for me. But between this multi-tool and this Rubato 4 right here, Olight is on a bit of a run. So really cool stuff coming from Olight. Let me know what you guys think of these. Really hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.